As they ventured deeper into the haunted house, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls, they couldn't help but feel a sense of fear and trepidation. The air was thick with the scent of decay and rot, and the creaking of the old wooden floorboards beneath their feet seemed to echo through the deserted halls. "Wow, this place is seriously creepy," Linda whispered, her eyes scanning the cobweb-covered chandeliers and faded portraits on the walls. "Yeah," Lovett replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've never seen anything like this." As they explored the labyrinthine mansion, they stumbled upon a grand ballroom, the chandelier above them casting a dim, eerie glow. But it was what lay at the far end of the room that caught their attention. "There it is," Lovett said, her eyes fixed on a small coffin sitting atop a dusty pedestal. "The material we need is inside that box," she said. But as they approached the pedestal, a strange unsettling feeling began to creep over them. It was as if they were being watched, and the air seemed to grow colder and heavier. "Guys, I don't like this," Sharon said, her voice trembling slightly. "Come on, it's just our imagination," Amanda replied, but her voice lacked conviction. As they reached for the box, a sudden loud creaking noise echoed through the room, making them all jump, and then the lights went out. As they fumbled for their flashlights, they quickly set up the small wooden coffin and arranged the red candles around it. As they gathered around the coffin, their voices barely above a whisper. "Matri tenebri, matri tenebri, matri tenebri," they chanted in unison 3 times. As soon as they finished speaking, the candles suddenly went out, plunging them into darkness once more. The silence was oppressive, heavy with anticipation. But nothing happened. No whisper, no shadowy figure, no sign of the demon they had summoned. Just silence. The group held their breath, frozen in disappointment and fear. They had expected something, anything, to happen. But the darkness remained still and quiet. Finally, Lovett broke the silence. "Well, that was underwhelming," she said, her voice laced with disappointment. The others nodded in agreement, their faces illuminated only by the faint glow of their flashlights. They had come so far, and yet, nothing had happened. It was as if the demon had ignored their call, leaving them with only the echoes of their own fear and anticipation. "Let's get out of here," Lillian said, with a subdued tone. The others nodded in agreement, their eyes fixed on the door, their hearts filled with a sense of relief and disappointment. They had come so far, and yet, nothing had happened. As they turned to leave, the darkness seemed to close in around them, the shadows cast by their flashlights growing longer and more sinister. They knew they had to get out, to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the haunted house. But as they reached the door, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, and something was waiting for them in the shadows. As they trudged back to their respective homes, the group couldn't shake off the feeling of exhaustion and unease. The twins, Linda and Lillian, were met with curious gazes from their dad and their elder brother, who were wondering why they were returning so late. "Where have you guys been?" their dad asked, eyeing them suspiciously. Linda and Lillian exchanged a quick glance before launching into a rehearsed lie. "We were just, studying for our exam at the library," Linda said, trying to sound convincing. Their dad raised an eyebrow. At this hour? Their dad and elder brother exchanged a skeptical look, but seemed to buy the excuse. "All right, well, get some rest. You can tell us all about it in the morning," their elder brother said, ushering them towards their bedrooms. As they settled into their beds, Linda and Lillian couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt for lying to their dad. But they knew they had to keep their adventure a secret. The next day, the 5 friends gathered in the school courtyard, eager to see the outcome of their bet. Okay, Lovett, it's time to pay up, Amanda said, a mischievous glint in her eye. Lovett looked at them pleadingly. Guys, please, I'm begging you. Don't make me do this. I would do anything else but certainly not kissing Bruno. But the others just laughed. No way, Sharon said, her voice firm. You lost the bet, now you have to pay the price. Bruno, who had been quietly observing the exchange, spoke up. Yeah, Lovett, you have to kiss me now. Lovetta's face turned bright red as she realized she had no escape. She reluctantly leaned in, her lips brushing against Bruno's cheek in a quick, awkward kiss. The others burst out laughing, teasing Lovett mercilessly. Ha ha ha, Lovetta's got a new boyfriend. Lillian joked. Lovett rolled her eyes, feeling embarrassed. Shut up, guys. That was so humiliating. As they went to school canteen, the others cheered and teased her about the failed summoning, enjoying their playful banter. Despite the joking, Lovett knew they were all just happy to have shared in the adventure together. As the day came to a close and the darkness of night began to fall, Sharon finished her relaxing bath and started her evening skincare routine. She was carefully applying her moisturizer and toner, feeling refreshed and calm, when suddenly she heard strange and scary creaking sounds coming from somewhere in her room. As Sharon peeped into her serene room, she was met with an eerie sight. The room was enveloped in an unsettling darkness as if the light had been suffocated. Her curiosity piqued, she stepped inside, her eyes fixed on the faint glow of the dim light. But as she approached the edge of her bed in order to on the light, her feet seemed rooted to the spot, hesitant to take the next step towards the light switch, as if some unseen force was warning her away. Sharon's heart raced as she froze in terror, her eyes fixed on the grotesque figure before her. The woman's face was twisted and disfigured, with sunken eye sockets that seemed to bore into Sharon's soul. The woman's mouth contorted into a snarl. Sharon's mind raced as she tried to process what was happening. She tried to scream, but her voice was trapped in her throat. Her legs felt like lead. Refusing to move as the woman began to move closer, her presence filling the room with an unspeakable horror. Suddenly, the woman's face contorted into a twisted grin, revealing jagged teeth stained with decay. Sharon's heart felt like it was about to burst from her chest, as the woman's whispering grew louder, more urgent, and her cold bony fingers reached out to claim her. The next morning, Sharon's parents were waiting for her in the dining room, the breakfast spread out before them. Her mom poured herself a cup of coffee, and her dad looking at his wristwatch. She's running late again, Sharon's mom said to her husband. Her dad shrugged, probably still sleepy. Teenagers and their sleep schedules. But as the minutes ticked by, Sharon's absence became more conspicuous. Her mom got up from her seat. I'll go check on her. She walked to Sharon's room, knocked gently on the door, and called out, Sharon, are you okay? You're running late for breakfast. When there was no response, concern etched on her face. Sharon's mom slowly turned the handle and pushed open the door. Sharon's mom screamed at the top of her lungs, her voice piercing the silence of the house. Her husband, startled by the sudden outburst, rushed to the room, his heart racing with fear. What's wrong? What's happening? He asked, but his wife couldn't respond. She had fainted, collapsing to the floor. He rushed to her side, lifting her up gently. Oh God, what's going on? He muttered to himself, his eyes scanning the room frantically. That's when he saw Sharon, ripped apart motionless on the floor, his eyes frozen in a perpetual stare. His heart skipped a beat as he realized something terribly happened to his daughter.